For the Physics Module 3 project, I have chosen to do airbags and how they relate to road safety and physics, as well as Newton's laws. I will be explaining, discussing, and evaluating upon this topic and its different effects to the world and society. Airbags are a vehicle safety device found in cars, buses, trucks, motorcycles, and many other vehicles. These bags tend to be made out of fabric, such as nylon or polyamide. The purpose of an airbag is to protect passengers and diminish the damage caused in case of a car crash. They are very popular and extremely common throughout the world. Airbags work with a sensor that is in the airbags. The sensor senses when the vehicle has crashed and at what severity, what angle, and much, much more. By doing this, it decides if an airbag really should be deployed. If so, hot blasts of nitrogen gas inflate the bag in milliseconds, and then slowly escapes through small vents located all around the bag. The bag is more of a soft pillow than a firm object. Here is a short animation showing what would usually happen with an airbag and a human coming into contact. Of course, the efficiency of the airbag has an explanation linked into physics and Newton's laws, as most things are. Newton's three laws of motion include 1. Every object in a state of uniform motion tends to remain in that state of motion unless an external force is applied to it. Here one can see that the basketball is at rest, but then once the arrow touches it, it starts moving, and then it is still in motion until the wall hits it back. Newton's second law of motion is F equals ma, which means force equals mass times acceleration. Lastly, his third law of motion is, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In this animation, the tennis ball is the object, acting upon the floor. It pushes down on the floor, and then the floor reacts to the tennis ball, pushing it back up, with the same force the tennis ball pushed down on the floor with. I will be discussing and presenting two of these laws that can be applied to the road safety issue of airbags. According to Newton's first law, an object in motion, which in this case is the car and the person inside the car, tends to remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. In the event of a crash, the person or people inside the car will keep accelerating at the speed that the car was going until they're acted upon by a greater force. If the vehicle stops abruptly, the person inside will keep going at the speed that the car was going and propel forward, but will then be stopped either by the dashboard, windshield, or some other external force, such as an airbag. Here is a short video to explain. Here you can see the car hitting Mr. Bieber. After this happens, the girl's head is propelled forward, then the airbag explodes, and her head is stopped from being propelled further. So here, the object that is in motion is the girl, and she stayed in motion until the outside force caused her to stop. Here, that outside force is the airbag. Next is Newton's third law that can be applied. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In the case of a car crash with people inside the vehicle and working airbags, the action force would be the person propelling forward due to the severe crash. The equal opposite reaction force would be the airbag pushing against the human with the same force the human pushed against the airbag. If the force of the airbag was not equal or greater than the force of the person would go straight through the bag and keep moving forward. Airbags as a whole are extremely valuable and helpful to people, as they really have helped save lives. According to ScienceServingSociety.com, airbags have reduced the total number of US fatalities by almost 5%, and according to HG.org, airbags reduce the risk of fatality for drivers by almost 30%. 5% and 30% of lives being saved thanks to just one simple object is very remarkable to me. Unfortunately, many people make the mistake of thinking that because of an airbag, they do not need to wear a seatbelt anymore. This is very foolish and wrong, as an airbag only increases safety but does not make up for a seatbelt. Evidently, there is a social factor that the airbag affects for the better, as more lives are saved. This is just one of the many effects airbags have on the world.
Another effect could be the economical effects. Airbags are different from some other systems found in vehicles because the whole airbag system must be taken out and reset or reinstalled once the airbag is deployed. Some of the estimated costs to repair the airbags include 400 to 550 US dollars for the driver's seat, 480 to 1,300 US dollars for the passenger seat, and 1,130 to 3,350 US dollars to any seat with windshield replacement included. Despite this not being too expensive, it could be for someone who is constantly in crashes or for some people who are not as wealthy. Having said that, if one owns a car, it is most probable that they will also be wealthy enough to spend a couple dollars to fix their cars. Finally, it is obvious that at least two of the Newton's laws can be applied to the function of airbags, and it is clear that science and physics in particular plays a big part in the deployment and making of airbags, but also in saving lives. Thank you.